Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Pittsburgh Current Podcast, coming to you live from the beautiful downtown Beachview Business District. We got a great show today. It's I'm a little overexcited because, of course, Avengers Endgame is coming this weekend, so we're all very excited on pins and needles about that. We've also got the Three Rivers Comicon coming May 11th and 12th at the waterfront, and that's what we're going to be discussing today with our guest, John Engel, the general manager of New Dimension Comics. John, thanks for joining us.
Hi.
I'm
trying to wake up.
It was quite an energetic opening, John.
I'm sorry. I'm glad to be here. How's that?
It's good to have. Great to have you.
I have not had enough coffee. It's great.
So this is talk a little bit about the Comic-Con. This is your
Fourth year.
Yep. So talk a little bit about the Comic-Con. I know that when you think Comic-Con, I've always kind of said that this is the Comic-Con that's actually about comics, is how I've always described it to folks. It's very writer and artist centric, and I think that's something that's very well needed. So
a lot of people when they think the words Comic-Con because of San Diego, they think it's like more pop culture and stuff.
Right.
Well, the problem is that over the years that kind of overshadowed the comic end.
Yeah.
That namesaked all of this. So after Pittsburgh Comic-Con went away, and then Wizard World did 2 shows, and then they were going to go away for a while. We decided we were going to do a show. Todd, the owner, Todd McDivitt, and I decided after many, many beers one night that we were going to do a very comic-centric show and put the comics back in Comic-Con. And that kind of became our slogan. So we don't do TV or movie guests unless they've worked on comics.
Right.
We really do a lot of artists, writers, creators, editors, publishers. A lot, like 85% of our dealers our vendors are comic vendors.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of shows over the years. So when we decided we were going to do this, we thought, if we were going to run the show, if we could do our dream show of how we want to be treated, how we want to be like just how everything needed to go, how do we make baby steps to get there? Mm-hmm. So we started off like that, and it kind of snowballed. And last year was we had 3,000 people last year through the door.
It's amazing.
And which is great because that's 1% of the city's population. And we just kind of kept it going and made it roll. And Todd and I have met a lot of people over the years, a lot of artists, writers, creators, dealers, and it's it's easy to just go, hey man, you want to come to Pittsburgh and hang out? I'll feed you.
You get a good response, I would guess, from artists, and there are a lot of. I mean, there are a lot of great artists in Pittsburgh,
right?
But then there are also a lot of great artists from Pittsburgh who are also working. So let's talk a little bit about some of the guests you've got coming, and what they're kind of bringing to the show.
Sure. Where do you want to start?
Dealer's choice. Let's start with the local artist.
All right, cool.
And I think that's something that if you're going to do something like this, and again, other cons don't necessarily do. I mean, in their vendors section, sure, but they're really featured. Our local artists are really featured here, correct?
So when you say local artists, you mean like local that have not been published yet, or local that are like independent, or local that have also been published?
Why don't you explain to me?
Okay. So those are basically your 3 categories. You have the guys that start out, that are very, I haven't made a comic yet. I just kind of do art, or I write and I'm looking for that artist. Those guys are there too. This show is very set up to be, a community embracing thing where we embrace all of the nerd community.
Right.
So this kind of gives those low-level guys, those beginners, a chance to talk to some pros and get some kind of feedback.
Yeah.
They can pitch their stuff. Because I know all the publishers that'll be there except for Valiant will do like portfolio reviews.
That's great.
The only reason Valiant's not is because they're only sending a sales team.
Yeah.
So like there's no editors that'll be there. So it's
You
kind of hard to be like,
I can't
hey,
sell this.
It's gonna be like, hey, Danny from Valiant, can you look at my book? She'll be like, yeah, but I can't tell you anything about it. But like everybody that's there, Devil's Due, Black Box, Action Lab, Gold Tree, Caliber, and Aftershock will all do portfolio reviews. Aftershock will only specifically do them on Sunday from noon to 1. So you have to come in Sunday to pitch to Aftershock.
Done on a first come, first serve sort of basis,
yeah, kind of thing. But the rest of them are usually pretty cool about just kind of walking up to the table with your portfolio. You know, and a lot of people, like I've watched them do this. Like I help out some publishers at some shows, and you know, I've watched people do this. It's kind of cool. And it's one of those things where sometimes I go, here's my editor's number, we'll be in touch. And sometimes it's like, well, you need to work on this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to watch people grow. Yeah, to like watch how they kind of coach them through like here's what you need to get to that next step, which is great. So then we have the next level of guys, which are like local guys that have kind of been published or aren't, like they're kind of that mid tier. So we have some guys that have done a couple books, but nothing super crazy. Right. They do like their own book. Or they've done like 1 or 2 books, like James Patrick. He's coming up from West Virginia. He wrote a book with DJ Kaufman out of Greensburg. And,
friend of the Pittsburgh Currents. DJ
right?
Kaufman.
I love DJ.
Yeah.
He actually designed our logo.
Yes.
So, he did Hero by Night with DJ.
Wow.
But then he also did a Harley Quinn book and a Green Lantern book, or I'm sorry, a Green Arrow book, and a couple other things. So, you know, but he hasn't done like a 40-issue run of Batman. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And then you have guys like Ron Friends, Pat Olive,
Sure.
Robert Hack, Don Simpson, all those guys that are the local guys that have done, you know,
done it all.
Giant. They have like graphic novel, like multiple graphic novels of collected stuff of theirs. And they're all great guys. That's the cool part about all these Pittsburgh guys is they're really down to earth guys. And like I just love hearing their stories. So
yeah,
especially Ron. Like when you get Ron and Pat in the same room, and they're close enough, they'll just start talking about like when they were working on like Marvel stuff together, and it's like the craziest thing.
I was going to give a little bit of an example of some of the stuff Ron. I mean, Ron's done so much.
Oh man,
couple titles. Titles of
couple small titles you may have heard. You know, Amazing Spider-Man,
right?
Superman,
couple of indie books.
He's Thor. Fantastic Four. He's currently working on a book called Blue Baron for Sit Comics.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's done so much. Like it's ridiculous. Like every once in a while I'm just like, I didn't know Ron did this book.
Yeah. Right.
So same with Pat. Pat did a lot too. You know, and he actually did some Aftershock stuff. He did Rough Riders, and he's also worked on things like Catwoman and Barbed Wire and all the Marvel stuff. Like he and Ron both worked on the M2 universe, which was like Spider-Girl, Amazing Spider-Girl,
right.
J2 Juggernaut, Next Avengers, stuff like that. They all worked, like that whole era was just them hanging out. You know, Pat did Thor Core, which was great. Yeah. So
yeah, some real talent. What is it you think about it is about Pittsburgh that sort of had this because Jim Rugg's another one. Jim Rugg is also working on X-Men, I believe, right? Jim Rugg?
No. You're talking about Ed Piskor.
Ed Piskor. Sorry. Yeah. Ed Piskor.
Yeah. Ed's a great guy. He just finished the last part of that. Yeah. Last part of his trilogy. Yeah. It's 2 books each. I just ran into him at our waterfront store a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "Yeah, I can finally leave my house." He's a great guy, and like they're super talented. Him, Jim Rugg, Tom Scioli, like they're all just great dudes who like do great work, and it's kind of cool because like I don't know if you know how Ed got the X-Men thing. Like
we remember we did a piece on it, but tell the story a little bit.
Yeah, he just like he was just like man, like he went on Twitter and just went, man, I wish Marvel would just Marvel should just let me do an X-Men book. And then they did.
Yeah.
like how cool is that? But all those guys they're in like the same age group.
Yeah.
And then like Ron and Pat and those guys were in the same age group.
Right.
So it's kind of like that next generation of the guys we already have. So, and I think that they're continuing their path toward that level of legacy, I guess would be a good word for it.
What is it about Pittsburgh? Do you think that there's? I mean, it's almost like these couple of little. I mean, there are a lot of there's a lot of great artists, but guys who, again, you said sort of in the same age group that kind of went on to do the titles that we know. Yeah. What is he? Is there something? Is it something, or is it just?
I think it's the water in the Mon. I don't know, because like they're kind of all spread out, and there's even guys like Justin Jordan lives in the middle of nowhere down by Bedford, right? And he does amazing. He writes great books. Like he's gonna be a guest at the show too. He's written like Green Lantern. He did Luther Strode for Image. He's done some really awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a little bit of everywhere, and I think it's just that these guys have the drive, and I think that because Pittsburgh's such a blue-collar town, like working hard is like ingrained in all of us.
Right. Regardless of what you do.
Right.
Yeah, it's just sort of transfers over.
Yeah, and I think they're the kind of guys that went, I'm going to do this, so they honed their skills. They kept putting it out there, and they weren't afraid to hear no. They weren't afraid to hear your art sucks. Right. They weren't afraid to hear anything. They went, oh, it does? Cool. Tell me what I need to do, and I'll fix it, and then we'll go. And
yeah, and that's sort of, I mean, I know, I got to know DJ through this business, DJ Kaufman, and that was sort of kind of his story. He just started making these the mini comics and going to Ides and dropping them off and things like that. And it's just there is that sort of attitude of I'm going to do this and I know how to do it, which is just if you work hard, something's going to happen for you.
Yeah, if you don't work hard, you're never going to get to anything. So these guys are just great, and every single one of them, you can tell how hard they work because like their commission lines are always long. Yeah. Like they just do a lot of great work, and
I'm going to use this moment to do a little self-promote. Well, not me, because I'm no artist, believe me. But every 2 weeks, every issue of the Pittsburgh Current, we do have a 4-page comic spread, and we have mostly local cartoonists and some national cartoonists who like Keith Knight, some comics artists that don't necessarily get the play and the respect they deserve. But DJ Kaufman does a serial, a twice monthly serial for us called Secret Forces, and it also ties into some other comics that he does, web comics, and so you can check that out in the Pittsburgh Current. And I will say that we're actually very happy to be part of Three Rivers Comicon.
That is true.
This
Pittsburgh
year,
Current is the official media sponsor of Three Rivers Comicon this year.
Yeah, we are full of nerds up there, so it's anytime we can get involved in something like that and the wrestling, we're ready to go.
And not only are you sponsoring the show, you're sponsoring the cosplay karaoke event we're doing.
Yes.
2 days before the show, it's our kickoff party at Hard Rock Cafe. It's at 7 on Thursday the 9th, and it's awesome. Like people dress in cosplay, and then they do karaoke. Everybody donates. Everybody that sings donates $5 to the Heroes Initiative, and all that money goes to that charity. And the Heroes Initiative is awesome. If you don't know what the Heroes Initiative is, it takes care of artists and writers and creators that can't make their ends meet for like certain bills, because back in the day their contracts were awful.
Right.
So we're trying to help out those guys that inspired us to do so many different things.
Yeah, that's great. What about as far as guests this year? Are there one or two maybe new guests or guests that you're particularly excited about for one reason or another? Maybe a personal favorite or
So guys that have not done the show that I'm excited for, Mike Golden, who is the creator of Rogue or co-creator of Rogue. He also did Bucky O'Hare and Micronauts, and just his work is huge.
Yeah.
And he's a super nice guy. Russ Braun, who has done Batman, Venom. He did the miniseries that was in Batman Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
He also worked on Jimmy's Bastards and Fables and Swamp Thing and The Boys, which is coming out on getting a TV show. It's launching soon on Amazon, right? I think it's like next week.
Wow.
Or soon.
Yeah.
It's like real soon. It's within the next couple weeks. But he did the second half of the interior of The Boys. And, you know, Russ is a super, like, he is probably one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. I met him at New York a couple years ago. You know, he works with Garth Ennis a lot. So if you like Garth stuff, you've probably owned something by Russ Braun. So let me think who else is coming. Someone who hasn't been here since the first year, who we announced last night, is Steve Geiger. He's great. He worked on like Punisher War Journal, Incredible Hulk. He's a super awesome guy too. His art is amazing. Trying to think who else. Josh Blaylock, who has not been here yet. He's coming and he'll actually be at the Devil's Due booth because that's his company. He also did the beer label for us this year, which is a Mercy Spark Sinful Stout, made by Shoe Brew up in Zelienople.
Right.
And it is only available if you buy the VIP beer party pass.
And that's what I was going to bring up next. Was there's always
Segue.
there's always a signature beer to go along with Three Rivers Comicon.
Oh yeah.
I think I always get one to save and one to drink, and then I usually the one I save I drink also.
Yeah.
But talk about the one. Talk about the beer this year.
So as I said, it's Mercy Spark Sinful Stout. It's if you've seen our postcards, that's that's part of the art on it. Is that Mercy on there? It's a Russian Imperial coffee stout made by Shoe Brew in Zelienople, and I had some on Monday, and it's delicious. It is canned this year instead of bottled.
Wow.
So this year, instead of doing one big bottle, you get 2 cans.
Nice.
I almost brought some today, but I have to drive after this. So
I actually
have to drive to Ohio. So I was like, yeah, that's probably not a great idea.
I actually almost suggested that. You should bring some of the beer and we'll have a tasting.
Yeah. Had Todd been able to make it, he would have brought the beer.
Oh, there's no question. No question.
This is the part where I would have been like, go ahead, Todd. You talk about this. Because he loves the beer party.
I met Todd. I had a meeting with Todd for something completely unrelated to Comic-Con. Like, in fact, it was last winter. Yeah. And he brought me beer. So
yeah.
Todd loves to spread the.
It's hard to find Todd without a cooler of beer.
Right.
I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
But the beer party package is starts at $40. It goes up to $70 or $75 depending on if you buy it online or in store. By the way, if you buy it at any of your local New Dimension Comics, you save on your service fees on all price levels.
Okay.
The party is at 7:30 in our waterfront store, and it is catered by Permane Brothers. And Josh will be there signing cans all night long.
Great.
And the only way to get access to that and to the food is to have the VIP beer party pass package. So go check that out. It also gets you an hour early entry on Saturday. So
perfect. And just to tickets start at $10.
Correct.
So it's
that's for
it's
adults.
An affordable right. Exactly.
Kids is like $5
yeah.
if you're 9 to 14, I believe is $5. That's the lowest point.
Yeah.
And then anyone under 8 is free.
Wow.
Or 8 or under, I should say, is free. So
fantastic. Yeah, so it's a really affordable con, so which is also really cool. So segueing from the con, I've got a couple of these all planned out. What are you reading these days in terms of comics? I mean,
oh man,
let me say this: you're there. Do you get to read, or do you make
not on the clock?
Right. Sure. I've gone into the Elwood store on Saturday afternoon.
Hey man, well, I kind of hopped all the stores, so I don't have a lot of time to do that anyway. And I'm always busy. Todd keeps me on my toes. I was talking about this on Comic Book Pit a couple weeks ago. Like I've been checking out like the new Buffy series.
Yeah,
that's been really, really good. I've been reading like the Grant Morrison Green Lantern. I tried to read War of the Realms, but I just couldn't get into it. I do love Thori the dog, though. He's pretty awesome. But I try to check out like a lot of weird independent stuff. Like I like a lot of Aftershocks books. I like a lot of Image books. It's just kind of all over the place. Like I have a lot of fun.
What kind of stuff did you get started on when you were, I assume, a kid?
Oh yeah,
what
like
kind of
Green
stuff
Lantern and Iron Man
Yeah?
were like my two growing up things. And I remember the first Avengers book I bought was it was an annual, and it had the character Bloodwraith on it.
Yeah.
So I then found out later that cover was done by Scott McDaniel, who's from Pittsburgh.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
So I found that exact copy, and I brought it to him the first time I met him, and he signed it, and I told him the story. He's like, that's cool. It's weird, though, because he didn't do the interiors. He only did the cover. And I just fell in love, and then I was like, Nightwing. Yay.
Yeah.
So, like, I so much, there's so much good stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Like the Brian K. Vaughan Swamp Thing. Saga's great. Oh, man. There's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. That's awesome, and Bob Hack does all the art for that.
Yeah.
He's a local guy. That's pretty cool. There's so much good stuff. Like literally, if you're into something in the world, we can find you a comic for it. And like my tastes are super weird. Like I like sometimes I like to read like the really weird off the wall books.
Yeah.
Like Itty Bitty Bunnies and Rainbow Pixie Candyland, which was like this really messed up book about two bunnies who do a lot of drugs and are trying to cure monkey butt, which is actually when your butt turns into a monkey.
Oh,
yeah, it's like the most messed up thing. Imagine like going on like a really bad dream.
Right.
That's really what this book is. But it was funny, it's I can't even go into it because like I'll probably end up swearing a lot. So
we haven't used up our 2 monthly F words yet, so feel free. We're still good.
I'll remember that in case I drop that by accident.
And we'll write it. We'll take it right off the ledger. And I want to say, and I'm not saying this because John is sitting here, but New Dimension is definitely one of my favorite comic book stores because I was really into Afterlife with Archie for a while, and
that book's great.
When I couldn't find, I could always find the variant covers. Right. At your store, and so I would often go and check that out. But it's true, anything like for me, like growing up, I had my uncle Doug. I remember, like I don't remember what my first comic was necessarily because I was gifted an entire just a box that he had, my uncle had, and he just gave them to me, and so ton of horror comics. But the books that really stuck out to me were the Incredible Hulk books, which was kind of my favorite. But there's nothing like going in to a comic book store and going into the stacks. I don't know if which guys, I know they're not stacked there,
like
but
any of the back issues.
Bins, and just exactly. You guys have a huge sale, like a warehouse sale, right? Is that in the summer?
We do the Million Comic Sale.
Right.
So when we do that, we open up the regular store in Elwood, the old store in Elwood, which is like 3 stores down, and then we open up the VFW, which is down the street, where most people park. And the basement and the main store is open. The basement is only open 3 times a year.
Wow!
And in the basement, is 500,000 books sorted, and they're all $1 a piece.
Wow!
So it's kind of cool to experience that. Like if you've never experienced that,
I think that's the one I've been to.
It's
quite the experience.
It is.
The first time I ever went there, again, long night of drinking with Todd. It was like 1 a.m, and he's like, "You want to grab store transfer to take it back?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool." He's like, "Have you ever been to the basement?" I'm like, "Actually, no. Like the last time I had been to Elwood store was when he had the old store."
Right.
So he's like, "All right, come on." And he like walks me down the steps and he turns me toward it and he goes, "All right, I'm gonna turn the lights on." Turns the lights on and I'm just like, "Whoa!" Yeah. Like it was the craziest thing in the world. Like that building is, I think it's 20,000 square feet per level.
Wow.
So it's 20,000 square feet of just dollar books.
Wow.
It's impressive. To say the least.
Even the back room of that store, I mean, there are so many books.
Oh yeah.
The on the main sales floor.
Yeah, the whole left side.
It's just packed with books.
All of our stores have dollar book selections.
Yeah.
Cranberry unfortunately has the smallest one because they're the smallest store. But Butler has a decent sized one now that we've relocated them to Main Street last year. Ohio has a huge selection at the Ohio Valley Mall. Pittsburgh Mills has a whole entire back room dedicated to it.
Wow.
And then the waterfront, we ended up with a lot of space. So we shipped in 250,000 books and just set it up. And people come and dig every day, and they're finding good stuff. Like I watched somebody pull what did they grab? They grabbed like Umbrella Academy 1 and 2 from the first series. We found people pulling like $5-10 books out of there.
Yeah.
And they're $1. You find it in there, it's cool, whatever. Yeah. And so there are Easter eggs, and there are Easter eggs in all the stores. I watched someone at Mills pull a Death of Superman and a Death of Flash out of the Death of Supergirl and Death of Flash from Crisis out of the back room one day. Like, it was nuts. I was like, where were those?
Yeah.
We have so much stuff. It's sometimes hard to keep track, but Easter eggs are good because people like to dig for them. They find them, and then, hey, it's something cool. You spent 5 hours digging today. You got that book for $1.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that. You earned it, man. Especially since they're not sorted.
Yeah.
But I would like to give a shout out to all the staff because, like, really, for the show, for the con, for everything we do in the stores, like, we would never be able to do this without our staff. They are the best staff in the world, and they work really hard, and I appreciate them every day. So thank you.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. Like and you walk into some stores and if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, or if you don't, but I've never had that experience in a New Dimension store. It's always a great experience.
The other cool part about our chain though is, like, if you walk in the store and you're like, hey, do you have this? And we don't in that location, we can call one of the other stores and get it to you within like a week. Yeah. Usually, as long as they have it. So, if you're out there and you want something and you're cool with waiting a week, just let us know. We'll find it for you. Like, it is hard for us to not find stuff. I was in Ohio one day and a guy walked in and said, hey, I want all of the Sarah Pizzini Witchblade books. Yeah. Like every single one, which is there's like 185 in the main series. So I was like, let's start with the main series. Right. Within 2 weeks, I found him 183 of the 185. Wow. And then I found the other 2 the next week.
That's amazing.
And I personally shopped that for him.
That's awesome. We're talking to John Engel, general manager of New Dimension Comics. We're talking about the Three Rivers Comicon. We're talking about comics, and now we're probably going to talk about the single most important topic on everyone's mind: dun, dun, dun. The Avengers Endgame. It all started on May 2nd, 2008, when Tony Stark and Iron Man hit the screens, and here we are now, 11 years later, and we're finally kind of seeing the end of this saga. Yeah. Are you excited? Or are you worried that it's not going to live up to the hype?
So I'm torn.
Yeah.
Because it's really like waiting for this next Star Wars movie, right? Because it's going to end this huge thing. Right. And I've enjoyed every Marvel movie. Yeah. Like Iron Man, the first Iron Man is still my favorite one.
Is it?
Because I just love that character so much. And when they had cast Robert Downey Jr., I was like, oh, cool. Billionaire recovering alcoholic playboy playing a billionaire recovering alcoholic playboy. Excellent. And you have the facial hair. This is great. I'm excited for it to see how things wrap up. I'm excited to see what pieces certain characters play. Like, I'm a huge Captain Marvel fan. I loved Captain Marvel. Yeah. I want to see what her actual role is going to be. Yeah. I'm trying to stay away from all the spoilers. Like, if a trailer comes on, I look the other way. Yeah. I don't like that because we live in an age where, everything's in my phone. I can just get it right now. I could probably watch it right now if I really look for it.
Last night I thought, I wonder if it's not to watch, but I just wondered, was it out there yet? And I thought, I'm not even going to try and look for it because I know myself. I don't know that I would be able to not engage in piracy, but I was able to. To hold strong. Yeah,
I am excited for it, but I'm not excited for 3 hours. That's the thing.
Really?
Yeah, because I know I'm going to have to pee in the middle of it, and I'm going to miss 5-10 minutes and just be like, ah.
Yeah.
So
it's whenever, especially something like this that you're not really anxious. I mean, I guess I'm anxious. Again, I'm anxious to see how it wraps up, but I'm really not anxious.
I'm curious to know if when it wraps up, if it brings the Fox stuff in with it. Like when they reset it slightly wrong.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden we see people that have been cast as the Fantastic Four that we didn't know were actually cast for Fantastic Four, or Deadpool shows up, or Wolverine shows up or something to show that tie, or like the Xavier Institute just shows up. Like that would be super cool for me, and I'm actually getting goosebumps thinking about it. But how they defeat Thanos, I'm cool. Like if they follow sort of the comic style, that'd be cool. If they don't, whatever, that's cool too. I just kind of want them to have fun with it. Everything I've seen by sliding through like Instagram and being like, crap, Kevin Smith's coming up. What's he saying? He basically said that bring tissues because there's a lot of sad scenes, and then there's a lot of other scenes that'll make you so happy you'll cry.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I was like, that was it. That's all he said. But I'm really excited for it, and
I'm a big trailer guy, so I've watched the trailers, but I try and stay away from everything else. Like I know there is some leaked stuff out there, which I've really worked. And I actually my nephew is he's 13, 14 in November, and we've seen every one of these things together, and so we're not going to go on opening because of baseball, but so I'm like, oh, you gotta play sick or something, like fake an injury, pull a hamstring, so we can get out there. But it's really cool. It's been like a great experience. It's like I remember like I took this little kid to to see these early movies, and now here we are. We're like going to see the next one, and I like you. I'm wondering, like I'm excited, but then also things I've read about the next phase. Some of the I don't remember anything off the top of my head, but some of the things that some of the already potentially planned things that they have for the next phase. I don't remember being too excited. I am excited for hoping Captain Marvel continues, and I love this Spider-Man series more than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man series. I know it's
well no like so I think that Tom Holland plays the best both Peter and Spider-Man in one movie.
Yeah.
I thought Tobey played the best Peter Parker,
right?
Just as Peter Parker,
right? And
I really liked Andrew Garfield as just Spider-Man, but I hated his Peter Parker, because he was too tall and too pretty. So, but I feel that because of how quippy Deadpool was, that they kind of over quipped Spider-Man in it, and he like I enjoy the movies a lot. I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. But it was just like, wow, like this kid's annoying sometimes. Like I would never be able to be on a team with Spider-Man. Like it is just, done that. But I do like the character though.
Yeah.
So.
You're not one of those guys that's upset because Aunt May isn't 95 or, a 95-year-old woman in the movie. Right. It's Marissa Tomei.
I mean, it's Marissa Tomei. Can't be mad. But I like. But there's other stuff like I really enjoyed how they ended up working Ant-Man, like using Scott Lang versus Hank Pym, even though Hank's in there still.
Right.
There's so much stuff about this universe. It's amazing.
Right.
Like, I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan.
Me too. Yeah.
But I don't like Benjamin Cumberbatch except as Doctor Strange. Everything else I've tried to watch him in, I'm like, I can't do that.
I think I would mostly agree with that. he was in that. He was in the Johnny Depp mob movie, and I liked him in that. But other than that, I'm not a huge fan.
I was never a big fan of Sherlock.
He's perfect.
But I'm really excited for. I am excited for the for Homecoming or for Far From Home.
Yeah.
Mostly because I want to see how they play out Mysterio because that is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm real excited for Black Panther 2.
Yep.
Black Panther 1 was amazing.
Yep.
Captain Marvel obviously. And then Doctor Strange 2 would be all those should be that first cycle unless they add somebody in there, which the rumor that nothing's been I think official,
right? But
rumors are like Namor, and now that they have the Fox stuff, they'll probably put something else in there.
Yeah, is there one that something they haven't done or haven't done much or done? Is there anything that you would like to see like sort of in the next?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Is there a Marvel story out there? Like I mean, the Submariner. I'm not sure. Namor. I'm not sure if I'm.
I mean,
Would
that'll
be super
to me
excited
that
about
only
that.
works if Fantastic Four's in there,
Yeah.
right? And I would love for them to do a really good Fantastic Four movie.
Right. For
you
fans
know,
of that book, we've suffered through some crap.
well, the
when it
first
comes to
two
the-
weren't awful. But the third one was good for like the first 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and then it just like went off the ledge.
I don't know that, and I don't know if they've ever hit casting right in that.
Yeah,
At
I
least not
agree.
all
Yeah.
four. I mean, although I thought what's his name was a pretty good thing. Was a pretty the guy from the Shield,
Michael Chiklis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Michael
yeah,
Chiklis.
yeah.
I thought he did okay as the Thing. I liked him as the Thing, but other than that, like I've always been disappointed. Always been disappointed with that.
I'd love for him to do like a Moon Knight movie
Yeah,
or a Moon Knight series, because he's basically like the Batman of Marvel.
yeah,
Him and Iron Man are kind of like the two ends of the Batman
right.
for Marvel.
Yeah.
But I love Moon Knight. That would be awesome. I'd like to see a live action Squirrel Girl, which apparently is coming.
Yeah, I've heard that's coming. Yeah,
So
yeah.
really, you didn't know that? Oh yeah. It's gonna be
I've
great.
got my
I'm,
squirrel.
I'm sorry. I did facial reactions over here because I'm just like they're actually doing Squirrel Joke. So
Right.
I didn't know that.
You should. I don't know if you've ever stopped by the office up the street. I have my Squirrel Girl bobblehead proudly sitting on my cabinet. Yeah, no, it's really quick, as I know we're running up against it here, as we say here in the podcast biz. We're running up
And this
against
is kind of turned into comic book pit.
it really has. It really has.
I'm
and
sorry.
I apologize to that show.
My bad.
You said that Iron Man was your favorite of the Marvel universe that's come out. Two questions: least favorite, and what was one that surprised you that for me that was Guardians. Like I was kind of excited for, but I love Guardians. The first Guardian might be my favorite of the series, which is tough being a Hulk guy because I also loved Ragnarok. But
Ragnarok.
yeah. But what about for you? Is there?
I think my least favorite one is probably Thor: Dark World.
Yeah.
And I really feel that it just focused too much on Jane Foster, and it really like underused Chris Eccleston as Malekith, because Malekith in the comics is this huge bad guy, and we got 15 minutes of him.
Right. Right.
The surprising one to me was, oh man, I don't know, probably Black Panther.
Yeah.
Because like I went into it going like, I like this character, but I don't love this character, and then that's pretty awesome. Yeah. It turned out to be really good. So.
Yeah, that's one of those that again I've always loved the character, but you're thinking, can it, will it carry a movie? And it sure in the hell did. It's a great film. It really is. We could go for another hour, but I'm guessing by the look I'm getting from the chair, the man.
I actually didn't like the Guardians movies that much.
You know what? I saw that on your face when I said that.
The
I saw
reason is,
yeah.
So I love the characters, and I loved the Dan Abnett run a lot.
Yeah.
But I felt a lot of the jokes were forced. Like, it felt very forced to me. And they kind of underused Ronan. Like, we sort of got a redemption in Captain Marvel, but it's still kind of like, he's kind of over here.
Yeah. And Ronan was a great villain.
I know, right? So, yeah. So that was kind of they were like the boop to me, but they felt very kid-oriented as well, so. Yeah,
I will say, too, that's of I was going to say, of the children I've taken to these movies, that seems to be their favorite because it's, there's the talking raccoon, but I feel like the second one sort of made it more of a serious comic books, but more of like a sort of a serious entry of these guys, what the story was capable of doing.
Right.
So I'm definitely looking forward to the third installation of that. But yeah, that was definitely the one. That was definitely the one that surprised me. I think. And if you could only watch one of those films
forever,
would it be Iron Man?
Actually, I'll probably go with Cap 2, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier,
because that was
Winter Soldier actually might be my favorite.
I like that. Those two and the first Avengers are like my top three.
Yeah.
In like a no order thing, but Cap 2 was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
The first one was fine, but it was paced a little slow. It was an origin story, but that's why Winter Soldier was so good. It was
Right.
really. But listen, I could drag this on all day.
Me too.
I probably will, as I'm looking at my Doctor Strange shirt in the monitor, beautiful glowing monitor of my computer. I'm guessing it's time to go. And so thank you very much for joining us. John Engel, thank you for coming. 3riverscomiccon.com for your information. Tickets start at $10 and it goes up for the VIP package. That is May 11th and 12th at the waterfront.
In the old Macy's building, right under the bridge.
Exactly. It's a great spot. A lot of parking. It's going to be a good time. So thanks a lot. We have our music issue coming out next Tuesday, as well as our election issue, all in the same music and politics. It's exactly, I think we're on brand. So thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.